Good morning. Welcome to the Miami-Dade Chamber of Commerce. Understand how to secure the bag COVID-19 business assistance webinar. Please give us a few more moments. We're going to wait about 5 minutes for everyone registered to get in, and we will get started. So give us a few moments. We apologize if you have been experiencing a little bit of technical difficulties, but we are moving. So give us a moment.
I'm live. Good morning.
Good morning. Great morning. How are you?
All right. Good morning, everyone. My name is Matthew Pigatt. I'm with the Miami-Dade Chamber of Commerce. I want to welcome each and every one of you to our workshop on how to ensure that we secure our business financials, how to secure the bag in COVID-19. We have quite a few special guests, but first I want to introduce our president, Mr. Eric Knowles. As we go through this webinar, please note, use the Q&A function at the bottom of your screen to type in whatever you have, any question that you have. After each presentation, we will take a moment to go through those questions and relay them to the presenters. So make sure that your mic is muted. Use the chat function And if you would like to speak, raise your hand using the function at the bottom of your screen. So with all those details in place, please make sure you use the chat function if you have any other questions or issues. But if you have a question for the presenters, put it in the Q&A box. With that, I would like to welcome our president, Mr. Eric Knowles, so that he can introduce this discussion and the panelists that we have. Mr. Knowles, you're up.
I don't know if can you all hear me? I can't hear myself. I couldn't hear you all. So, I'm trying to check my volume on my computer, but I see that you do hear me.
It sounds amazing. Loud and clear.
And first of all, I want to thank you all for being here this morning. Matthew and Jessica, thank you for pulling all of this together. And for those who are on the line, members of the chamber, I want to first of all reach out to you and say, hope that you're doing well, praying for you and your families, as well as your businesses. I know everyone is being impacted. So what we're trying to do is bring you information that will help you through this crisis. Hopefully you've been keeping up with the Chamber's website, and we have been providing information to you pretty much each and every day. And a big a provider of that information is the SBA. And we have Miss Althea Harris on the line. Hi. And she's going to be providing information. But also at the same time, I want to thank those of you who are on the front line, our first responders, obviously our nurses and doctors who are out there taking care of us right now. And then also those of you who are at work providing the essential needs that we have to have in order to live each and every day. So I know it's tough out here, but at the same time, hopefully everybody is adhering to what has been asked of us: social distancing, providing yourselves and your families with the proper protection. So without further ado, I'm going to turn it over to Matt and to Althea so we can begin this. I know everybody's time is tight, so turn it over to you. And I'm going to try to get this volume right because, again, I can't hear you.
All right. Thank you, President Knowles. We're going to start with our first panelist. This is Althea Harris, the local director, assistant director for the SBA for community outreach here in South Florida. Been doing this for almost 30 years. Is it?
Why you gotta say it like that?
I love it because it's amazing to see. So thank you, Ms. Harris, for joining us today to provide this information to our members, to our business owners. You have the floor. Feel free to move forward. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you very much. I bring you greetings from my laundry room. It's been really interesting to do work from home, which we were doing a little bit already in my office, but now it's, every day. And my husband and I have 4 children who are now, forced to do school at home. And so the laundry room is where the modem is. See the black box right there? So I get close to the modem to make sure their shenanigans are not popping me off the Wi-Fi. So I greet you from my laundry room and thank you for joining today. I'm going to talk to you about some of the federal resources that are available to small businesses to help you rebound. First one I want to talk to you about is SBA's Economic Injury Disaster Loan Program. It's been around for decades and is available to small businesses and some private nonprofits to help you meet your existing debt obligations, the ones you would ordinarily be able to pay, but for the disaster. Now, this loan is not for you to expand your business, or if your business was tanking anyway, it's not to replace your lost profits. It is designed to help you pay your bills that you would otherwise have been able to pay had it not been for the disaster. Now, you apply for this loan on our website, sba.gov/disaster. The interest rate for businesses on this loan is 3.75%, and for private nonprofits, 2.75%. The loan can be as much as $2 million for both types of groups, and the term can be as long as 30 years. So it's a low interest loan stretched over many years potentially to help ease your cash flow problems because of the disaster. Now, the CARES Act, which everyone is excited about, that was passed last week, introduced additional funding to SBA in order to assist businesses with a $10,000 loan advance. So when you apply for the SBA Economic Injury Disaster Loan, you have the potential to receive a $10,000 loan advance, which does not have to be repaid. Now, just because it's like technically a grant does not mean you can spend it on whatever you want. The disaster program is for you to meet your obligations of the business, not your personal obligations, but your business obligations. So keep that in mind. You again apply at www.sba.gov. Now, SBA does not require collateral for loans under this program under $25,000. Loans over $25,000 require collateral if you have it. If you don't have collateral, it's not a deal breaker for SBA, but if you have collateral, you're expected to pledge it. And the U is anyone with 20% or more ownership in the business. So that's important. Now also, SBA dispenses the monies electronic funds transfer, and we do it in stages. So if you're approved, for example, for a $200,000 loan, you're probably going to get the first $25,000. Then we're going to ask you to show us how you spent the money. And if you bought yourself a new car, we're not going to give you any more money. If you can demonstrate that with the first $25,000, you paid your employees, or you paid your rent, or you paid your payables, etc., fine, then we'll give you the next batch of money. So that's the Economic Injury Disaster Loan Program and the $10,000 loan advance. The CARES Act dictates that once we receive your application and approve it, the $10,000 must be dispensed within 3 days. Come on in. Sorry, my daughter needs to feed the dog. So go ahead, baby. Okay. So the CARES Act also put in a provision for the PPP, the Paycheck Protection Program. Go ahead, baby. Excuse me. There's no more. Okay. Okay. Well, get the scissors and open the bag and do what you got to do. Or have your brother come get the bag. Sorry. PPP, Paycheck Protection Program, came out of the CARES Act. And it is a loan to businesses, sole proprietors, 1099 contractors, and the self-employed to help you make payroll. This loan can go up to $10 million and is forgivable if you utilize the funds to make payroll for 8 weeks from the time you get the loan. So it's not a loan to reimburse you for payroll you already made. It's for payroll going forward 8 weeks from the time you get the money. This money is different, and the process is radically different from the SBA's disaster program. Under the disaster program, you get the money directly from the federal government. under the PPP, you must go to a bank to get the loan. Which banks? Pretty much all of them. So I would say to you, start at the bank where you have deposits and your business account. Because some of the chatter we've been hearing is that lenders have no intention of making these loans to people who are not their existing customers. All SBA participating lenders who make loans under the loan guarantee program can participate in the PPP. Any federally insured deposit institution can make these loans. Any federally insured credit union can make these loans. And the Treasury has said that they are going to be adding daily the folks who can do these loans. So start with your bank is what I would tell you. Now, important to know is that with the PPP, there are no payments on the loan for 6 months. However, it is a loan of only 2 years. So the money will be due and owing in 2 years. So you'll need to keep good records so that you can demonstrate that you utilize the PPP funds for their intended purpose. The intended purpose is to pay payroll for 8 weeks going forward from the time you get the loan, mortgage interest payments, rent payments, and utility payments. So if you use the money for those purposes, you don't have to pay the loan back, but you will have to demonstrate that you use the monies that way. Further, you must maintain salaries and headcount of employees over the 8-week period. So you can't get the PPP based on a payroll of 4 employees, bring back only 2, cut their salaries in half. That doesn't work. That's not going to cut the mustard. So be aware of that so that you can get those loans forgiven. It's really important to keep good record. Now, starting today, April 3rd, small businesses and sole proprietorships can apply with their bank. Next Friday, 1099 and self-employed folks can apply for the PPP. The deadline to apply is June 30th, but I just read yesterday, or until the money runs out. Since there are 30 million small businesses in America, and as I understand it, it's about, I don't know how much money of this is in there, how much of the 2.2 trillion is for the PPP, but I think it's $500 billion. You might want to get on top of applying for that if that's something you want to do. You must bring back employees or hire folks and maintain at the levels under which you applied for the loan in order for it to be forgivable. And it's a 2-year term. If your loan is not forgiven, you got 2 years to pay it back. And you don't have to pay in the first 6 months. Also, if you happen to have an SBA guaranteed loan under our normal program, SBA is paying that portion of your loan for the next 6 months. So you don't have to make payments on your 7A or 504 loan. SBA will make those payments for you. The CARES Act provided for that as well. So that is designed to ease some of your cash flow burdens. If you have an SBA disaster loan, for example, from IRMA, let's say you got an IRMA loan and you're paying on that monthly, SBA has automatically suspended your monthly payment requirements for the next, I think it's 6 months. So you don't have to pay those loans. So those are all designed to ease some of the burdens. Also, I can't speak too intelligently about this, but I know it's part of the CARES Act, and you might go and look at the IRS website for what they're doing about COVID. But when you're making your payroll, 50% of your tax burden for payroll in 2020 can be paid in 2021 and the other half paid in 2022. So whatever your obligations are on the taxes, you don't have to pay them in 2020. 50% you can pay in 2021 and the other 50% in 2022. I think that's everything I wanted to share with you. Yes, so I would be willing to take questions now if that's what you'd like to do, Matt.
Yes, thank you very much, Ms. Harris.
Okay.
We're going to open the floor to questions at the moment. So I'm not seeing too many questions. So I'm going to go on. All right, now we got questions coming up.
Yeah,
All
go
right.
on the Q&A. I see some there.
All right, so first question up, we have from Ms. Vienna Freeman. Can you use the money to pay required insurance payments like liability and workman's comp?
Yes. I'm gonna, hold on one second, because I want to pull up some of these fact sheets. And I like to read from them because I was so impressed that Treasury issued some good information fairly quickly on the PPP, and I like to read it because it really does speak for itself. And I can share these fact sheets with you if you like. Incidentally, I'm looking at the application. It's one page that the Treasury put out, but your bank will require additional information. So, I hope I said, and I'm just going to repeat, there are no fees associated with these loans. So if anybody comes to you and tries to charge you a fee, there is no fee at all for borrowers. So if anybody comes to you about a fee, run in the other direction. Okay. So I just want to, I like to read what it says about what is included in payroll. Okay, first of all, what can I use these funds, loan funds for? You should use the proceeds from these loans on your payroll costs, including benefits, interest on mortgage obligations incurred before February 15th, rent under lease agreements in force before February 15th, 2020, and utilities for which service began before February 15th, 2020. What counts as payroll costs? Payroll costs include salary, wages, commissions, or tips capped at $100,000 on an annualized basis for each employee. Employee benefits, including costs for vacation, parental, family, medical, or sick leave, allowance for separation or dismissal, payments required for the provisions of group healthcare benefits, including insurance premiums, and payment of any retirement benefit, state and local taxes assessed on compensation, and for a sole proprietor or independent contractor, wages, commissions, income, or net earnings from self-employment capped at $100,000 on an annualized basis for each employee. So actually, I want to amend my answer because it doesn't sound like those specific costs you mentioned are covered. As you said, employee comp or workman's comp and liability. So I don't believe you can make that. Under the PPP, wait. So we're talking about two different things. Under the PPP, you can't. Under the SBA disaster loan, you could, because those are ordinarily due and owing for you every month as a business expense.
All right. So here's the next question. Under PPP, if you currently are self-employed, a one-person business, can you ask for more funds, including hiring an additional person?
That's an excellent question. And I'm inclined to say no, but the truth is I really don't know. And the reason I say that is because if you didn't have this employee before, the the loan calculation is based upon your average monthly payroll costs times 2.5. So I'm not sure how you're gonna eke out another employee's wages out of that dollar amount. You understand? So, I mean, I know that we want folks working, but your additional person wasn't working for you before the virus. Now you can get a regular old SBA guaranteed loan to expand your business, just to say, hire another person. But that's what I'm inclined to say, but I really don't know. Those lots of details are still missing, but we're getting them every day.
Okay. I have another question. Do you have to apply for the SBA loan in order to receive the $10,000 grant?
Yes.
Okay. All right. How long does it take to hear back once you apply?
Well, the question is for which one? So I don't know anything about, well, wait. I heard Secretary Mnuchin say last night in his press conference with the SBA administrator and the president that that the PPP money is fairly immediate. So you go to the bank, give them what they want to know, and they should be able to drop that check, the money into your accounts immediately. Under the Economic Injury Disaster Loan Program that SBA administers, if you apply for that loan, the CARES Act dictates that SBA, upon approval of your loan, will give you the $10,000 loan advance that does not have to be repaid within 3 days.
Okay. Do you have to document how you spend the $10,000?
I don't know, but what I do know about SBA disaster loans, yes, I would say you do. Because SBA gives its money out in tranches, and we require you to show how you spent the money. So if the $10,000 is called a loan advance, that means that you would have used the money under the requirements of the loan program, which is to pay your business expenses. So if you take that $10,000 and buy yourself a new car, or put it down on a car, or put it down on a piece of property, when you go to show us what you spent the money on, you're gonna come up short. So you wouldn't be able to get the additional monies, and it may be possible that if you misuse the funds, it's not a grant, but I'm not sure about those details. We don't have that information yet. I've just based my answer on what I know about how SBA does its disaster program.
Right.
And by the way, listen, you should be documenting how you use the $10,000, right? You're a business. So you should be documenting, you should know how you spent the $10,000. And again, all of this stuff is for your business expenses. So documenting shouldn't be a problem if you intend to do it legitimately. And I just don't get on the wrong side of government. These loans are from the federal government. And the federal government has enormous resources to crush you. Don't fool around. That's all I have to say about that.
That is a very good point. All right, so I have another question. Can a nonprofit 501c4 apply for the Paycheck Protection Program?
I don't know about the subsets of the 501cs. I don't know what a 501c4 is. I know that a 501c3 is a nonprofit. A 6 is typically a chamber. I don't know what a 4 is, but nonprofits and churches are eligible for the PPP. So maybe, depends on what a C4 is. I don't know, because I know chambers are not eligible.
All right. How does this apply to part-time employees?
I assume you're asking me about the PPP.
Yes, so I think so. That's what Ms. McCoy Evanson stated.
Let me see. Okay. I don't know. It doesn't seem to apply to what'd you call them? Half-time people. So why do I say that? Because I'm reading from the document that Treasury put out, and I want to just read all of this. How much of my loan will be forgiven? You will owe money when your loan is due if you use the loan amount for anything other than payroll costs, mortgage interest, rent, and utility payments over the 8 weeks after getting the loan. Due to likely high subscription, it is anticipated that not more than 25% of the forgiven amount may be non-payroll costs. So if you use half of it for payroll and half of it for rent, 25% of that portion of rent will not be forgivable and you'll owe that money. You will also owe money if you do not maintain your staff and payroll. For a number of staff, your loan forgiveness will be reduced if you decrease your full-time employee headcount. The level of payroll, your loan forgiveness will also be reduced if you decrease salaries and wages by more than 25% for any employee who made less than $100,000 annualized in 2019. Rehiring, you have until June 30 to restore your full-time employment and salary levels for any changes made between February 15th and April 26th. So I've not seen anything in the literature about part-time employees.
Okay. All right. Would Uber and Lyft drivers qualify for PPP?
I know that gig economy people are supposed to be eligible, and I consider them to be gig economy people, but that doesn't make it so. But I believe that was they may be. So that would be something you want to look into, and, Google and see. And as more details come out, we'll have a better sense of that.
Okay. So for employees, what type of documentation will be required? And if you pay commission and 1099s, how does that work?
Well, how it works is if you pay 1099s, you have a record of that. So you'd have to show that. As far as commissions go, you would have to demonstrate that that's something you've been paying before. Because remember, all of this is about what your business has been doing, used to do, will do, et cetera. So it's not one of those situations where you've never paid commission before and all of a sudden you want to use the PPP to pay commissions. And if you do pay commissions, and I assume you have some contract that says you do with your employee, so you'd have to show those things. So your records, your financial records are going to be instrumental and imperative, critical to your success in all these applications, because remember the PPP goes through a bank and it's fully guaranteed by the federal government. But we won't pay the bank back. We won't give them the money if they don't do right in terms of the analysis on whether to give you the loan. So they're going to be very strident in there should be in what they ask you for before they make the loan to you.
Okay. So can it be used to obtain insurance for a company? And if the money is used to hire an additional person, and if the max is 2.5 times what you would pay them, hold up. All right, I'm confused about this question now. All right, basically,
Let's start with the first one. Can you use it to obtain insurance for your company? I don't know what it is, but if you mean the Economic Injury Disaster Loan Program, if that is an expense that you would ordinarily have in your business that you can't now pay because of the disaster, then yes. PPP, no. PPP is just really primarily for payroll. Can I use it to hire an additional person? No, I answered that question before. If you had 3 jobs in your business before, and because of the virus, you let 3 people go, you can bring back 3 people using the PPP. But I don't see anywhere in the literature that makes me think that you can bring on a fourth person, because like I said, with math, I don't see how you're going to eke out another salary when you take your monthly and multiply it by two and a half times for 8 weeks. And if so, the max is 2.5 times what you would pay them? No. So the loan calculation, the calculation for what you can borrow under the PPP is your average monthly salaries times 2.5.
Okay. So what if a 1099 contractor decides not to return to work, even though work is offered? How does that affect the loan forgiveness?
You just have to find another one.
Okay, thought so.
You know what I mean? I mean, again, think about it this way, because this is how I think about it. If I had 3 jobs before and I let them all go and one doesn't want to come back, then I have a slot that I can offer to someone else.
Mm-hmm. Okay. So what about home-based businesses that are LLCs or S Corps? Can they apply for the economic injury disaster loan and the PPP? And I guess which one would be best for them?
Okay. Yes, small businesses can apply for, I didn't catch what all those different ones are, but the Economic Injury Disaster Loan Program is available to small businesses, 1099 contractors, et cetera. Which is best? Well, it depends on what you plan to do with the money. If you want money to make payroll, then for sure you should be applying for the PPP. If that's really not your thing, because you really need to spend money on rent and accounts payable, you want to go with the Economic Injury Disaster Loan. Because if you don't have sufficient payroll costs, your loan under the PPP won't be forgiven. And then you only have 2 years to pay it. So that's not good. I mean, that could crush you if your business doesn't rebound fast enough. The Economic Injury Disaster Loan has a potential term of 30 years. You can figure out how to pay the government over 30 years.
Okay. So I'm seeing a lot of questions about this advance, the $10,000, and how the money will be approved, and is it immediate advance from the SBA? Is that under the PPP? Is that economic disaster? Could you talk more about this $10,000 advance?
Okay, sure. The $10,000 loan advance comes from the SBA's Economic Injury Disaster Loan Program. So when you apply for the Economic Injury Disaster Loan Program, you are automatically applying for the $10,000 loan advance, which does not have to be repaid. The PPP is something totally and separate and different, comes out of the CARES Act, and PPP monies go through banks. There's a bank who dispenses the money to you. Under the SBA disaster program, the federal government dispenses the money to you.
Okay. So do they approve you before depositing the money, or you just automatically get it? And if you don't get it,
My understanding is you have to be approved for a loan under the disaster program. And that's why they give you the $10,000 as an advance, because you have been approved.
Mm-hmm. Okay. So what if they're a new business, like 3 months in, and they just invested quite a bit of money to startup cost and payroll, and then this coronavirus hits? What's the best option to go from there, and do they qualify for the $10,000?
It's hard to say. I mean, I need like additional information. So I think that in order to even be qualified, the business has to have been in existence and had some income prior to January 31st of this year. I think that's the cutoff line, January 31st. So if your business did not exist before then, no dice.
Got it. All right. As someone on here who has 3 W-2 employees and 18 1099 contractors, and the 1099s work anywhere from 4 to 45 hours. Can you clarify whether or not the PPP loan will be forgiven if the funds are used to pay these contractors?
Well, one of the interesting things I've sort of noticed about all this is that businesses and sole proprietors can apply for the PPP today. 1099 and self-employed people can apply next Friday. So it seems to me the business owner could request the loan under the PPP on behalf of the 1099s, or the 1099s can go get their own loan under the PPP. So I don't know if I'd be taking on that burden for my 1099s. I might ask them to go do it themselves. But the full-time people, that to me is a no-brainer. They're already on your payroll. You cut checks to them every 2 weeks, whatever. You have all that documentation, great. But what bothers me a little bit about your question is that something about the hours and the 1099s, they don't sound like full-time employees. If you tell me, I mean, I don't know what your 45 hours is. I'm assuming that's stretched over a month. Because if it's not, then if it's 40 hours a week, then you're talking about a full-time employee that you just pay through the 1099 process.
Got it. Okay. All right. So thank you, Ms. Harris. We're going to wrap up the questions for now. We may be able to come back a little later on to discuss the rest of the questions. Please put your questions in the Q&A. We want to start and welcome Ms. Michelle Adderley, who is a financial advisor that probably give us more realistic for homeowners, for people, everyday people, how to actually manage yourself during this crisis. So thank you, Ms. Harris, for your time. We'll, please stay on. We may have some questions towards the end as people ask, but I'd like to turn it over to Ms. Adderley. You have the floor, Ms. Adderley.
Thank you. Hi. Thank you, Ms. Harris. I greatly enjoyed your presentation. And what I wanted to speak to you guys about, and thank you very much, Miami-Dade Chamber President Eric Knowles, the board members, faculty, and staff for having me here. Some of the things that I wanted to talk about, as well as, and piggyback on what Ms. Harris' presentation earlier. I deal directly with the banks, so I talk a lot with the VPs of the banks. And what I want you guys to do, because I see there are a lot of questions that are in the chat box. First thing is first, you need to be patient with this program. This program changes every single day. There's something that changes with this program. So the information that is given to you by Ms. Harris right now may change later on today. It may be added to it. A little bit more clarification may come about. But what has come from the banks is the fact that they're not really ready. So you have to be patient because the government has not given them the rules of engagement. So they really don't understand or know. And I'm just being strictly transparent with you because the government will tell you they're saying these are the rules, but the banks have to agree and they have to participate with the government. They're supposed to, but you know, from what I was told last night from a VP, they said, we really don't have the manpower. We really don't know what we're supposed to do. But I want you guys to be very, very patient with the banks when you go for the PPE programs. I want you to be very, very patient with the government as they roll this out because it's here to help us as business owners. So when you're applying for these loans and everything that you're doing right now during this time of disaster, you must be focused. Okay, you don't want to be distracted by all of the shiny objects that are going on around you. You need to be focused. You need to have a financial, I would say a financial spreadsheet or a calendar. So today is the first day, April 3rd is the first day that the small businesses and the self-employed can go online. That's where you're going to go. You're going to go online to your bank, the bank that you're doing business with. You're going to go online and you can go ahead and apply for the PPE. But what you want to do is every time that you have engagement with one of these institutions or organizations, you need to document your interactions. So you want to create a spreadsheet. So every bank that you talk to, if you have 4 or 5 different banks, there's some of their stipulations are every last one of the banks are going to be different. So like I said, be patient. Bank of America's terms are not the same as TD Bank's terms or BB&T or the new name that they have under trust. They're not the same. So every single bank is going to have a different stipulation, although they're not supposed to, they will. So be patient with them. Make sure every single day that you are focused on your plan. What is my plan? Get everything together, like Ms. Harris says. Pause for a moment. Whatever you had prior to the pandemic, you maintain the same thing. Don't try to add to it. Don't try to be slick about it. You don't want to be on the other side of the government, okay? Because they will challenge you. When all of this is over, they will challenge you and they need to know what you did with this money. So documentation beats conversation. If you are in business and you are truly in business as a business owner, everything that you do from a day-to-day basis should be documented. So anyone can come at any given time and walk into your office or request within 4 hours your documents. As a debt collector, I know that when I deal with the credit bureaus, they can call us at any given time and say, we need these 10 files within the next 4 hours. So you have to be organized to be able to pull those files and hand it to them. So all of your employees that you had prior to, make sure that information is documented. So I just wanted to touch on that particular thing because I am constantly in communication with the banks every single day. I'm calling them. Give me updates. Give me updates. Let us know what's going on, but be very, very patient, be focused, and document all of your information, okay? Be focused, be organized, be accountable, be determined, and be responsible. Those are the 5 things that I want you guys to focus on when it comes down to dealing with this this SBA situation here and the money and the loans. Now, another thing about, I know that the president wanted me to really focus on the mortgages and how the banks are handling that. Please, once again, be very, very clear. Right now, we're concerned about our employees. We're concerned about our staff members. We're concerned about our families. We're concerned about ourselves. But you want to make sure that you don't lose anything in the process of this pandemic, okay? When you call your mortgage companies, be very, very clear and concise on what it is that they're doing with your mortgages. So they say the mortgages are deferred or they're forbeared, okay? Are they putting it on the end of your mortgages or are they requiring you to pay that mortgage? If they suspend your payments, are they requiring you to pay all of your mortgages at the end of the terms that they agreed with you. So speaking to one of the VPs last night, he specifically told me, he said, I want you to share this. If they contact a bank and they ask that their mortgage is suspended for 3 months, understand that after that 3 months, on the 91st day, and one of my partners explained this last night, on the 91st day that your loan has not been paid, the bank can go into foreclosure. Now, the government is saying, no, that is not supposed to happen. Underneath this disaster plan, that is not supposed to happen. The banks are supposed to work with you. Okay, they're supposed to work with you, but do not take for granted that they will work with you. Do not take for granted that they are following the directions and the instructions of the press conferences that happen. Because a lot of times, as he stated before, when we watch the news, we hear something stated at the podium that's not discussed with the bank as of yet. Think about it. You have a mortgage, you have escrow, you have insurances, you have all of these different things that have to be paid. Who's going to be responsible for paying that during the time that your loan is on pause? Your taxes have to be paid. Who's going to be paying that? Now, in a perfect situation, we want to be able to say, okay, everything is good. I trust my mortgage company. I've had them for 15 years. I've had them for 20 years. I want to be able to trust this. I cannot afford to pay it. If you are a business owner, and for some way or another, I would say you can pause everything else. But when it comes to your mortgage, don't play. Don't take for granted. Don't take them at their word that they're going to participate in this program and not foreclose on you. He specifically said, if you go past 3 months on pausing your mortgage, they will require that you go into a loan modification. I don't think that is fair, but that's specifically what he said. He said, anytime over 3 months, we're going to require you to go into a loan modification. And some banks are readily giving you out 6 months. They're giving you out 6 months that you don't have to pay for your mortgage. And most business owners are like, whew, what a relief. I don't have to pay my mortgage now. I can focus on applying for the SBA and making sure that I have everything taken care of for my employees, because you want to be responsible as a business owner to take care of your employees. But don't get so focused on taking care of your employees and taking care of your business and losing the roof over your head. Okay, so make sure that everything that you speak to these banks about, and be it car loan, your mortgage, your credit cards, whatever discussion that you have, create the spreadsheet and write all of that information down. Who you spoke to, make sure they send it to you via email and send it to you in writing. And some people may say, well, that's just normal for me to do or to think about. Guys, we're in a situation right now where our mind, our mentality, everything is totally different. It's all over the place. So the way that you operated prior to this may not be the way that you're operating now. You know, some of us are feeling like really, really pressured. We're in the house. We need to be out. We need to be doing something. Our employees' families need to be taken care of. They need money. They need food. They need this. They need that. Focus on first. Okay, like they say when you get on the airplane, put your oxygen mask on first, right? And then you're able to assist everyone else that you're responsible for. So those are the tips that I wanted to go over today. A little plug that I wanted to do is, if you're not a member of the Miami-Dade Chamber and you're in the South Florida area or know someone that's in the South Florida area, go to m-dcc.org and join the chamber. I know we have a lot of guests that are on the chat right now, but join the chamber so you can get this great information that will be coming to you throughout this particular time, so you can stay informed and stay focused and stay, organized and accountable to yourself as well as to your employees. So make sure that you have everything documented. One of the bank vice presidents told me that you're gonna need to really truly be patient with them, because like I said, the one of the stipulations that they have is that they do a background check on you when it comes down to this CARES Act and the CARES Act money. And so if you're a person who has been convicted of a misdemeanor or a felony within the last 7 years, which is probably normal for SBA, but you will not qualify to participate in this particular program. And the government wants the banks to be responsible for doing a background check. Now, those of you all who know that have participated in anything that requires a background check, it's not a quick turnaround. It's not a quick process. So you have to be patient with them, because they don't have the staff to be able to just completely focus on that particular thing. He said that they're going to have to increase their staff by another 3,000 employees in order to do all of the things that they need to do to check everything, to make sure that you're not getting yourself in a situation that will cause you to be in trouble later on, because everyone is going to try to put rush, and they're going to forget some things, and maybe they may overlook some things, but they want to make sure underwriting and background and everything is taken care of, so their customers are protected when it comes to this particular situation. So if there are any questions that you guys have, you can put that in the chat. But that's the information that I get directly from some of the bank vice presidents and some of the managers of the different banks. So are there any questions? Let me go here and see if there are any questions.
All right, we're going to open the floor for questions. Right now, I have just a comment from James, basically saying that Bank of America is denying disaster loans if you don't have a lending relationship with them. So as Michelle mentioned, you need to go to your lender to be able to get this from them.
Right. So with Bank of America specifically, Bank of America requires that if you have a relationship with them, if you are a bank, if you've had a banking relationship with them within the last 5 years, if you've had a banking relationship within the last 5 years, they will consider taking your application. But first, they are only focusing on bank specific. They are focusing on the people who have a current relationship with them, then the ones who've had a relationship with them within the last 5 years. And that's specifically for Bank of America. Okay, so make sure you guys don't rush down to the banks. You can't get into the banks right now. TD Bank is only allowing those people in the bank lobbies that have over $1 million in a safe deposit box. You are allowed to come into the lobby via appointment. Everything else can be done in the lobby, through the drive-through. So if you lose your card, they will be able to reprint those cards through the drive-through. Let's see, what are the other things that you're able to do? Your regular banking, you're able to do everything through the drive-through. But if you have $1 million or more and you need to access your safe deposit box, they are doing by appointments only. I don't know why that number was given, but they said $1 million or more. Okay. So are there any other questions?
Yes, we have. What if your lender doesn't offer the PPP or the disaster loan?
Well, actually, if you go onto the SBA website, they will dispense your application as probably one of the, they will dispense your application to participating banks, but you will have to wait and it will be on the back burner.
Okay. All right. All right.
And the question, a question that I have for you is, why aren't you, or you said if your bank is not participating, that's what you said. If your bank is not participating. Okay, go ahead. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. That was the question. So do you have any knowledge if Wells Fargo is doing the PPP program?
Yes, Wells Fargo they are participating.
Okay. All right. All right. Those are all the questions that we have right now. Please continue to put in your questions in the chat box, or not the chat box, but the actual Q&A portal. And Ms. Knowles, you have something before we go into other opportunities? Thank you.
Yes, sir. I just wanted to add, first of all, I want to thank Althea and Michelle for the information that they have provided. But some other information I wanted to share through the Beacon Council. There is a website, so hopefully you all have a pen and write this down. It is bizhelp.miami, bizhelp.miami. And what they're doing, they're pretty much congregating a lot of this information that you all are looking for, and it will be on that website. And right now, they are in the process of building that website out. So it is there. Some information may not be on it, but it will eventually be added to the website. So I just wanted you all to be aware of that. So definitely go to that website. So go ahead, Matt.
Okay. All right. So I just wanted to take a moment and share a few other opportunities that the Chamber has found through our various partners and conversations that we've been having and engaging with President Knowles and doing research. So we talked about the SBA, we talked about the mortgage thing. So there's a few other opportunities, including with the state of Florida, where they have a disaster emergency bridge loan. This is a bridge loan between $50,000 to $100,000, and it's available to Florida-based small businesses with no interest for 12 months. However, be clear that the full amount is due in 12 months. And you can literally just click on the Florida Disaster Loan Program. What we want to do here at the Chamber, we're sharing this information to you so that you can go on and look up this stuff for yourself. You can literally just go to Florida Disaster Loan and have all the details laid out right there for you. So make sure you check out the Florida Disaster Loan Program, and the Florida Disaster Loan Program. All right. The next program is the Short Time Compensation Program for employees. This is a voluntary employer program designed to help employers maintain their staff by reducing the weekly working hours during temporary slowdowns instead of temporarily laying off employees. So if an employer establishes a short-time compensation plan and the employee meets the qualifications to file a reemployment assistance claim with the state of Florida, employee will receive a partial reemployment check to supplement their reduced paycheck. So this is the opportunity that you want to talk to your employees about. Go to floridajobs.org. And if you click that, floridajobs.org, you'll be moved to this page here where you will see this information. So we want to make sure floridajobs.org, looking at the Division of Workforce Services, Reemployment Assistance Program, and you will see the Short Time Compensation Program for employees. Please go to this website. This should answer all your questions that you have about it. And this is the portal that you want to make sure you go to get the latest information about these programs. So the next program is the temporary layoff program. And the temporary layoff occurs when an employee is separated from their job due to a lack of work, and the employee has to return to work within 8 weeks of the separation. So you can file your jobs claim by accessing the Connect, and I know this website has been having quite a few problems. That is something that the Department of Economic Opportunity is working on. So you can see that they clearly have here saying how you can get more information to claim, to file your claim online. So make sure you take advantage of these opportunities. Use these websites because the contact information, the Twitter, these are the people that are going to give you direct understanding of what you need to know in order to move forward with these programs. There's also reemployment assistance that provides a temporary wage replacement to benefit eligible. That's the same process, floridajobs.org. And we just actually heard about this program by Generator and Access, where they're going to actually host daily lunchtime webinars with experts that will walk you step by step through the process of applying for SBA loan and grant programs. So they will have people that have employment law experts, federal emergency relief programs. The program starts April 6th through the 10th. And you can sign up today, starting at 12 noon. So literally right now, you can go here, and you can click the link and get this information for you right now. Oh, there we go. Let me pull that over. So this Florida emergency, they just put up the sign up form here. So you can click in here and sign up, know what to expect. So we strongly encourage you to take advantage of this resource that is available to you if you sign up. So this is a latest information that we literally just found out about yesterday. So we want to make sure that you're taking advantage of these opportunities. Lastly, we have the Miami-Dade the Miami-Dade Chamber. We have a technical assistance program where we will help you. This program is funded by the county, and we target actual neighborhood, strategic neighborhoods, but it's for all Miami-Dade County. So if you have a business in Liberty City, Miami Gardens, Opelika, Goulds, and a few others, you may have top priority to get access to this program. But we will assist you one-on-one with getting your business together and ready to take advantage of these opportunities and ensure that you're protecting your finances and your business during this time of the COVID-19 crisis. The Miami-Dade County also has a small business loan program. So, and we actually cut the interest rate in half to 4%. It's for $5,000 to $10,000 on 2 tiers. You can get between $5,000 to $10,000, and on a higher tier, $10,000 to $25,000. But this is specifically for Miami-Dade County businesses. And you must be registered and have a business registered for at least a year for the lower tier and 2 years for the higher tier. With this, you need to have your business and personal financials. That means personal taxes done, business taxes done, 1 year for the lower tier, 2 years for the higher tier, so you can apply. So you can go on our website, Miami-Dade County. You can click this link, mdcc.org, and the technical assistance. And there's also one for the microloan program. So with that, I do see a few questions, and we're going to open up the floor back for questions. If anybody have any other questions, that's what we're going to do for the rest of this time. We wanted to make sure that you are fully aware of the opportunities that are available to you during this crisis that we're dealing with. As you see, everyone from the SBA to people at the banks to our political leaders, everyone is trying to figure this out right now, because this is something that none of us have expected planned for, but we're building a plane while we're jumping so that we can make this work for everyone. So please be patient as we work through this. We're trying to get the latest information out to you as soon as possible so you can take full advantage of these resources. But if you have any questions, that's what we're here for, to answer these questions, to be here as a chamber. So that's the benefit of being a member of a chamber, because we want to be able to give you the latest information as soon as possible and connect you to the experts in the field and all other members who have opportunities and services for you. So with that, I'm going to open back up the floor to the rest of the questions and the chat. So here we go. All right. Do you have any knowledge regarding Wells Fargo as it? Okay, no. All right, so that's answered. We are able to ask questions. So live up, how do I do this? Okay. All right. So question, Q&A, and the chat. Going through the chat.
Hey,
okay.
Matt, I just wanted you to know that I've been answering some of the chat questions. And some of you whom I know personally, I also responded to you privately. So check the Q&A, not the chat, the Q&A for some of my answers.
All right, awesome. Well, I have a question from Nathan. It says that if you have more than one business, do you apply per business?
Yes, if you want to.
Awesome. All right, so you can apply per business. All right, so I'm looking at the chat. I'm looking at the Q&A. We don't have any other questions. This is the time now. We've allocated up until 12:30, and all of the presenters are here to ask any questions that you have. We have the president of Miami-Dade Chamber of Commerce, myself, which is a minority and small business manager for the Miami-Dade Chamber of Commerce, over the technical assistance and microloan programs. Michelle Adderley, who's a financial consultant, and also Althea Harris from the SBA, who is the director for community outreach, assistant director for community outreach at the SBA. So we are here. I have a hand raised. Let's look at, just saw that. All right, so I'm going to open up the chat. I have Jill Tracy. Jill, you have been permitted to speak. You can unmute your mic and ask a question.
Hey, how are you?
We're loving life. How are you?
Good, good, good. So I wanted to find out if that, the temp layoff program, does that include furloughed employees?
Could you speak a little louder? We can barely hear you.
Hold on. Let's see, maybe I need to turn you up. Is that better?
Yes.
Much better.
Okay. Does the temporary layoff program, does that apply to furloughed employees? And for a small business, is there time limits? I just opened a business and paid payroll for, what am I on, my second month? So is there a time limit on that? Like how long you had to have been in business before you applied for any of those that were on the, and will those slides be available? Because I couldn't get them quick enough. The PPA, the CARES Act, are there, is there a time limit to how long you should have to be in business?
All right, Ms. Harris, can you take that?
Yes, if I recall correctly, you must have been in business prior to 1/31/2020.
Okay, thank you. And the temporary layoff program, does that apply to furloughed employees?
So does a temporary layoff program apply to furloughed employees? Ms.
Right.
Harris?
I don't know anything about it.
That's it, right. That's a state program. So that would be something that you would want to go online and find out, Jill, whether or not temporary employees on the layoff the temporary employee layoff program covers furloughed workers. And that would be, as a business owner, the position from a business owner. So go ahead and take a look on the state website and get that information.
All right. So I have another Nathan Kato. I have you. You are able to talk. Just if you unmute your mic.
Hello.
Yes.
Yes, for the SBA government loans, I have an internet radio station, and my sunbiz.org says, like you were saying before January 31st. My sunbiz.org says January 15th, but I didn't get the EIN number until I think after the 31st, but it's my sunbiz.org says active January 15th. So am I still eligible to apply for just the SBA? Because I haven't been in business for a year, but I have legally with the radio station been in business, says sunbiz.org, since the 15th of January.
I guess you would be eligible. I'm really not sure because of those technicalities. And your question reminds me to say that the SBA Economic Injury Disaster Loan Program is for businesses adversely affected by the coronavirus. It's not just that you were in business, you have to have been affected by the virus and adversely and, you know, be able to demonstrate that. So what makes it challenging for young businesses is you have no track record to show where your sales or what have you fell off, coinciding with the arrival of the coronavirus in the US. So I think that's your immediate challenge, but apply anyway. I don't discourage anybody from applying. You never know.
Okay. All right. Next person that has their hand raised is Gloria Hairston. Ms. Hairston, if you unmute your mic, you can ask a question. All right.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes, my question is, I am an MWBE who owns a staffing company directly impacted by COVID. I hire personnel under 1099s who have been just as involved. May I apply for an EIDL or a PPP with assistance to pay those individuals to continue working? Because I heard you make a comment that if they've been convicted over the past 7 years, they don't qualify. So are you also saying that they can't do 1099s and apply for the loans?
That is correct. If they are 1099s and they're going in for the PPE through the banks, they will not qualify if they have been convicted of a misdemeanor or a felony within the last 7 years.
Okay, may I qualify as the business owner?
You would have to speak to the bank on that. I can't give you any advice as you know, as it relates to that. So, right.
Okay, but I can apply.
Yeah, sure. You may apply. Yeah.
Okay. All right. So just remember that the experts will be those at the bank. We want to make sure that you go to the bank for all the questions that you have. We are here as a resource to give you this information and answer some preliminary questions. But the banks and the ones that actually disperse the loans will be the main point of contact. So next person that has their hand raised is Tamika Wiley. Tamika, if you unmute your mic, you can ask a question.
Hello, my question is for Ms. Althea Harris. In regards to the payroll protection program, it says that you'll be reimbursed for payroll taxes, but I'm inquiring exactly what taxes, because I've been hearing mixed messages in regards to FICA and Medicare that's not reimbursable. Can you clarify that for me?
No, I can't. All I can do is read what I have from from the Treasury as part of their initial guidance for folks. And I'm going, oh, I don't have that up right now. Let me find it. I thought I had it up already on my computer. And then I'll read it to you what's included in the, oh, it might be here. Yeah, here we go. Okay, let me tell you what's included. I don't know if I read this for you all or it was the last call I was on, but payroll costs include salary, wages, commissions, or tips. And I'm just gonna give the truncated version. Employee benefits, including costs for vacation, parental, family, medical, or sick leave. Healthcare benefits, including insurance premiums and payment of any retirement benefit, state and local taxes assessed on compensation. So that sounds to me like it's not the ones you've mentioned, right? Because those taxes are not state taxes and they're not local taxes. Those are federal taxes that you articulated. So based on the writings that Treasury has given, oh, I'm glad you mentioned that. Wait, the CARES Act has a provision for the federal taxes. You don't have to pay them. That's right, I forgot about this. You don't have to pay the 2020 payroll taxes in 2020. You can pay half of them in 21 and the other half in 22. That came out of the CARES Act. So look into that. The I think they called it the tax deferral provision in the CARES Act. Google that, tax deferral. Because I know I heard that from tax deferral payroll taxes, 50% by 2020, 50% by 2022.
Correct, Tamika. And I know specifically what you're what you're talking about. And that is, you do have to pay them. It'll just be deferred. So that with everyone that you share that information with, make sure that they understand that it is not a forgiven during this period of time, because people get, when you get on so many different conference calls and everyone has different things to say, it is deferred from your 2020 taxes. You can defer them for 20 to 21 to 2022, but they are not forgiven. They are only deferred. So none of this money is to be used for those things, and so that is clarified. So you understand that correctly, correct? Tamika? Okay, we'll have a conversation later, because I want to make sure that she understands that is clear.
Yeah, and on that note, let me pile on, because one of the things that gets those terrorists at the IRS really going is when you don't make the payroll tax. If you do, I mean, they don't play about that. I mean, the penalties on that are stiff. So as you're going along with the PPP, do something to grab that tax, because you owe it to the IRS. They're just saying you don't have to pay it until 2021. And you can go out of business in 2021, but still you got to pay that. Any payroll tax you incur in 2020, even though they're going to give you 2 years to pay it, it is due and owing no matter what happens to you or your business.
Okay.
So don't play with them.
We have our last question. All right, we have our last question from Nia Carson. Carson, if you unmute your mic, you can speak.
Thank you for the opportunity. My name is Nia Kaysen. I have an outreach management firm, and so I have a variety of part-time employees.
We can't hear you. We can't hear you anymore.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, we can.
Okay, thank you. My question is, are there any resources for payroll for small businesses with a majority of part-time employees? I just had to lay off 6 employees. They average about between 30 and 45 hours per pay period. So I'm just asking, within the federal government, the SBA, or state, or Miami-Dade County, are there any resources for payroll for that?
You can certainly borrow under the SBA Economic Injury Disaster Loan Program to pay them if you like. I don't have enough information about the PPP. Everything I've read does not speak to part-time folks, but you could borrow under the Economic Injury Disaster Loan Program to pay them if you wanted to, but none of that is forgivable.
Okay. All right. So that is our last question. I want to thank everyone for joining us during this time to make sure that we are prepared and on point. Our contact information is available for those that are interested, need more questions or any more guidance. Remember, the Chamber of Commerce is here. If you have any questions, please feel free to give me a call or send me an email, and I will direct you as best as possible to wherever we can go. So with that, I would like to pass it over to our president, Mr. Eric Knowles, to give any final words or comments.
Basically, I just want to thank everyone, in particular, as I said, Althea and Michelle, for bringing the information that they have brought. And Matt, thank you for moderating this and obviously providing the information that we have from the Chamber for our members and those in the community. The question was asked a couple times in reference to our microloan program. We did reduce it to 4%. It was at 8%. So please get in touch with Matt in reference to our microloan. We loan up to $25,000. As I mentioned earlier, remember to go to bizhelp.miami. That's through the Beacon Council, and there's a lot of information that will be provided there for you to access a lot of these things that you're going to need at this time. Also, remember to support those businesses that are still open. Little Greenhouse Grill, House of Wings, Jackson Soul Food, Pastime, Lorna's in Miami Gardens, and the list goes on. Support your favorite eatery. But again, be safe. We're going to be in this for a while. It's a new dynamic that we're having to deal with. We will be creating content, and we will be doing some workshops online as we're working to put those together. Please stay tuned to the Chamber's website. We are recording this, so it will be put on the site as well. And if you have any questions, please reach out to us. My email is knowles@m-dcc.org. Matt is m.pigatt at m-dcc.org. So we look forward to engaging with you. And I want to thank Michelle again for her plug on you all joining the Chamber. We know that right now financially we are all challenged, so we'll work through that, but become a member of the Chamber so we can provide this information to you. So again, Althea, thank you so much. Thank you for—
My pleasure. Thank you for including me.
Oh, we truly appreciate
Really appreciate it.
Thank you so much for bringing that information. And everyone, really, I know it's hard to stay in the place, but if you got to go outside, pull some weeds, you know, water those trees that you haven't watered in a while. Yeah. You know, talk to your neighbor across the fence, get to know your neighbor on both sides across the street. We're all in this together. So be safe. And as I say, stay prayed up. Whoever you're praying to, pray to them. And this shall pass, but it's only going to pass if we do what we've been asked to do. Thank you all.
Thank you.
Beverly, thank you.
Good day.
And
Thank
Jessica, thank you for helping putting this together. We truly appreciate it. So Beverly, I didn't get in trouble. I reminded myself to thank you.
Thank you, Beverly, as usual.
All right, everyone. Thank you very
Jessica.
much. Y'all have a good day. Take care. We
You as
signing
well.
off.
All right, bye-bye.